How's it going, ladies and bruises? I'm Sixkilla. Welcome back to the Divine Deception. We have ourselves a silver key, so it's time to jump into the lavatory's run and see where that takes us. We've still got to finish these two, but we don't have that many to go. And we haven't done one from lavatory for quite some time. Yes, I know it's Laverna, but lavatory's funnier. One-armed bandit. Ah, another day, another crime. It was a little perverse, but I did get a little excited whenever I was called to the crime scene that I knew nothing about. I mean, it's sad. Very sad. I wasn't so far gone that I didn't acknowledge the horrors of crime and all. But that's why I call it perverse. I knew it was wrong, but still, for someone curious like me, hearing about a new crime, new mystery, was a little exciting. Just a little bit. I took a deep breath in and then let a deep breath out. Calm down. Get steady. Remember who you were. I'm Laverna Smith. Slightly eccentric private investigator. Extremely eccentric. I was here to solve the case I was called in to consult on. That was my role. Okay. Alright. With that in mind, let's go. I walked forwards toward the store. Milo's, huh? I hadn't had a chance to eat here before. No idea if it was supposed to be good or bad. Probably wouldn't get a chance to check during the investigation. I started walking toward the store. By the front I saw two familiar faces in a tense conversation. Okay. Just keep that between the two of us, please. I'm not really supposed to give away investigation details. Right. Don't worry, I'm good to my sources. You won't be named. Then you can't get in trouble. Oh, I don't think that's really gonna work. Every time an anonymous source in the police speaks up on a case when I'm around, everybody at the force assumes it's me. It's totally a pain. It usually is, right? That's not the point. Alright, jeez. Look, we'll just have to work something out, okay? Okay. In the meantime, let's expand a bit more. You're saying that the duet stole from this store? Allegedly, yeah. Do you believe that? Seems pretty obvious. So the duet's guilt is obvious. In that case, can we expect arrests from this little incident? And if that's not the case, what does it say about the Panthea police force? Well, I mean, if they can't even arrest the duets in an obvious incident, that's not a good look. Huh. That's not... People are already losing faith in this police force. There have even been disturbing rumours about collusion. How are the people supposed to feel safe if even an obvious case of duet guilt, the duets remain untouched? As fun as it was to just stand on the side and listen, this was probably as good a chance as I get to interject. And I probably should interject, all things considered. I walked up to Kane and Pandora. Would you quit it with bullying, Kane? Bullying? Me? I'd never. And how exactly would you characterise the interaction between you and this strong upstanding officer here? I'm just asking some hard-hitting questions. Bullies hit hard. Quod erat demonstrandum. Damn. Look, Laverna, I'm just doing my job. Your job requires badgering poor people with unfair questions? That must be a sad profession. You won't hear me denying it. Still, somebody's got to do it. I maintain it's a pretty fair line of questioning. If the police can't even arrest the duets where they are obviously committed a crime, then the people deserve to know. I have not yet been familiarised with the case, so I can't speak definitively. All I can say is that oft all that glitters is not gold. The truth of the matter is rarely what it seems. You're saying the duets might be innocent? Who's to say? What I'm saying is that whoever is guilty shall be captured and prosecuted. On that, you can count on. Oh, so they got you consulting again. I thought that obvious by my very presence. Fair. So, I can count on an arrest to report on? If the culprit is inside the building, unquestionably. Well, that is exciting now, isn't it? Guess I'll be rooting for you then. Kane's face remained unwaveringly punchable. Whatever. I diffused the situation. Hopefully Pandora would be somewhat grateful. I checked the time. Alright, that's been long enough. I had to actually get to the crime scene by now. I walked over to the restaurant entrance and opened the door. Lav. Like clockwork. I was going to respond, and then I felt my phone buzz. Oh, finally. I pulled out the phone and turned it onto speaker. Eris, I'm at the crime scene. Wow, you at a crime scene? I wouldn't have guessed. Sarcastic as ever it seems. Pretentious as ever it seems. Can we get to the point? As I said, I'm at a crime scene. I don't exactly have infinite time on my hands. Sure seems like it sometimes. Eris, look, you're the detective. Surely you can sleuth out why I'm calling you. It's not hard to guess. There's only one reason you'd be contacting me. It's about the matter I asked you to look into, right? And circle gets the square. You know, must we keep with the bickering? I, for one, am adult enough to put the past behind us. When I think of you, I think adult. Eris, look, now's not a good time. Like I said, crime scene. We can talk about the matter later. Fine. I'll just call you back soon enough. Before I could speak anymore, Baldera walked over and cut in. Hey Eris, it's me, Baldera. I'm here too. You're just as... I clicked the red hang up button. Hey, laugh. That was a wee bit rude. A wee bit? I'm aware. Why'd you hang up on him? Because I know my sister. Whatever she was about to say, it was not going to be pleasant. To save the dignity of all three of us, cutting the snake off at the pass is simply optimal. Cutting the snake off? Damn, harsh. I thought you said you were adult enough to put the past in the past, Lev. And you heard how she responded to that? Trust me, Eris is a lost cause. Best to let her drift to the wayside. What was the thing you asked her about? If you don't mind me asking. Oh, that? Just, you know, a thing for another case I asked her to look into for me. Loath as I am to admit it, I'm not particularly tech savvy. Eris, on the other hand, learned coding back in high school. It's just simpler to lean on her every now and then for help. I understand. Anyways, Lav, how are you? How have you been keeping up? Feels like forever since we hung out. It wasn't. But it feels like it, no? Too true. And a merry welcome to you too, Seth. Thanks. I assume Baldera called for your consultation again. How astute, Seth. Sorry? Baldera, you really have to start doing this through official channels. Where's the fun in that? Be grateful Ariana's busy, that's all I have to say. I assume I would not have been called if it were not warranted. I, guess? This isn't so much of a whodunit as a howdunit. Well, that's getting a bit ahead of ourselves, isn't it? Oh really, Seth? Don't tell me you're buying anything the duets are saying. I'm just saying, you know, assumptions are bad for clear-headed investigations. Seth is entirely correct. Certainly, assumptions are useful in terms of tipping the probability of possibilities. To ignore preconceived notions is to disregard previous cognitions. A complete waste of useful mental effort. However, crimes are already the realm of the unnatural. If ever there were times to bet on double zero, there would be times such as these. It's a simple Before I could say anything else, I was interrupted by a loud shout. Oh, that does it! The man who was obviously the owner of the restaurant, Milo, had seemingly had enough. Enough of what? Who's to say? At any rate, he lunged out at the man facing him down. Yi. Duat Senior Officer. Yi, for his part, just took a few steps back. Before Milo could catch up, Seth was able to rush over and grab Milo, restraining him. Easy. Easy, man. Calm down, please. This man walks into my restaurant, intimidates me, steals from me, and he has the gall to insult me? To my face? I won't stand for this. Hey, easy, buddy. I was just suggesting some improvements you could make to the decor. I like to think of myself as a man of high aesthetics. That's a little friendly advice. You insult this restaurant. I'm pointing out places that could be improved. This restaurant has fed the city for decades. The decorations are tradition. I respect that. But then again, tradition is a prison with majority opinion on the modern jailer. From here... Oh, fuck off. Let's all take a moment to breathe, shall we? Crime scenes create a lot of pressure. Hostility is perhaps warranted, but it is not useful. So then repeat after me. In, out. Nobody joined in with me. There, is that not preferable? And who are you supposed to be? Laverna Smith, private investigator. An absolute pleasure to be of service. Ah, detective. I can respect that. Nice to meet you. Likewise. Damn detective is fraternizing with criminals. I'm doomed. Criminals? Now Milo, why on earth would you say that? Yi, please. Don't provoke him. I'm not doing anything to provoke anybody. Wouldn't dream of it. Oh, I already don't like you. Can we just get on with it? I already wasted too much time with this frivolity. These arguments serve no point. I completely agree. We will get to the heart of the matter in a moment. However, quick sidebar if you would. I grabbed a hold of Seth and Baldera and took a few steps away. Apologies for my ignorance, but... what's with the person covered head to toe in black who is wearing a mask? Wait, seriously, Lav? You know about the shadow of Panthea? Well, that's a surprise. I've heard the name, I'm unfamiliar with the concept. He's just the biggest, baddest duet member there is. If they want to intimidate someone, that's the guy they send. He's one of their top-ranking officers. He's mighty horrifying. Only trouble is, he's always in that dark getup. A getup that can be bought, theoretically, by combining a number of things, which makes narrowing any crime with him down to a hell of a lot harder. At this point, it'd be probably worth it for Governor Aja to just ban that outfit altogether. Feels like there might be some constitutional issues with that idea. Constitution's just a document. That's the spirit, Baldera. It is? Regardless, I believe I have better understanding of the facts. My thanks to that end. That said, is it proper for him to wear this getup during an investigation? We already had him take off the mask to confirm his identity. After that, we don't really have the authority to make him stop wearing the outfit. We would if we had a warrant or something, but we don't. Okay, yeah, we can't stop him. Still, it's pretty messed up for him to just ignore our suggestions. You surprised by that? A little. Okay. We'll simply proceed as is. His appearance shall simply make this whole matter more visually interesting. If you say so. I turn back toward everyone else. Very well then. As you might know, I am late to the party, so to speak. And since the crime has been henceforth unsolved, I think it would be more useful for everyone if we litigated the events as they stand. Unsolved? Ha! There's nothing to be solved. These guys stole my fucking vase. Easy, Milo, easy. You're gonna hurt my feelings with these reckless accusations. You... Wait, this whole thing is just about a stolen vase? Just a stolen vase? Just a stolen vase? That vase is a priceless heirloom. It has been in my family for decades. It is priceless, more than priceless. It belongs in a museum. And you kept it in a safe? What an affront to the arts. You... Yee, how'd you know it was kept in the safe? Because we said that point about half a dozen times up until now. Oh, right. Sorry. A little overeager there, Baldera. Oh, hush. I cleared my throat. Apologies, Milo. I meant no disrespect. Frankly, I'm happy to hear the sole point of contention is a stolen vase. It simplifies things quite a bit. Would you mind giving your account of the supposed theft? It would be hugely helpful. Fine. It started when those two came to my restaurant. On the surface, it was just for a meal. These two referring to Thane and Yi. No, Yi and Zouchi. And Zouchi is the shorter man in the corner? Yeah. And shorter, really? That's my descriptor? It's succinct, Zhao. Quit being so sensitive. Anyway, before long, these two are harassing me, threatening me for protection money. Now. Don't mischaracterize the interaction. I was simply offering you a business opportunity. Security is important, and my firm was willing to sell it to you. Willing is putting it lightly. You were pretty clearly threatening me. I'm sorry if my tone was overly hostile. Mr. Yi, I'll get to your account shortly. Of course, my apologies. So then, Milo, what happened next? Yi kept harassing me, bringing me back to the employees' lounge. It's a private room, which means he could have been even more pushy. Was nobody else in the restaurant at this point? No, just these thugs. Probably a calculated move on their part. Anyway, dealing with Yi was exhausting. I told him my answer was final, and I ordered him to go back to the front of the restaurant. I retreated into the kitchen for a brief moment, just to collect my thoughts. Dealing with them was frankly exhausting. Nobody else was in the kitchen at the time of the incident. I told my employee to leave and take a break when I saw Yi and his whole squad enter. Understandable. After a moment's respite, I left the kitchen back into the restaurant, where I went up to the table Yi and Zouchi were at, to begin pleading with them. It was at this point I noticed Thane had made his way into the restaurant at some point. He was sitting at the table on the other side of the restaurant. Still, I paid him no mind. At first. Too busy dealing with Yi. However, before I knew it, I heard the sound of the kitchen door opening. I turned back and saw Thane gone. He clearly walked into the kitchen. I ran over to the kitchen, but by the time I'd entered, he'd already made his way through the kitchen to the employees' lounge. I followed after him, and saw him standing right by the safe, in which I kept my precious vase. I questioned him about what he was doing there. He claimed he was just touring the area. I didn't buy it for a second. I opened the safe, and what do you know? It was missing. I checked the safe a few fucking hours ago. It was there. Nobody else suspicious had entered the building since. Clearly, these rats stole or broke the vase to try and intimidate me into accepting their little racket. Well, I wouldn't have. Jeez, this guy sure likes hearing his own voice, huh? Mind if I say what actually happened? Milo, have you finished giving the relevant points of the sequence of events? Pretty much. After I noticed the vase had been stolen, I called you guys over. You didn't let any of us out of sight since then, right? Of course not. Don't want you messing with the crime scene at all. Splendid. Then by all means, Yi, give your explanation. I don't have anything that contradicts how Milo told it. Just a different colour to the whole story. Look, my associates and I represent Tutelar Inc., a very well-respected protection company dozens of Panthean stores employ, because you forced them into it. Apologies for Milo. Anyone who knows him will tell you he has a thing for hysterics. Now, I'll be the first to admit I play a little hardball when I try to close a deal. What good salesman doesn't? But extortion? Please. Nothing like that happened. Certainly nothing I said would count as extortion in court for what that's worth. For what it's worth, that is the sort of distinction somebody in the business of extortion would mind. Heh. So it is, huh? Look, lady, I'm just trying to save both of us time. And by all means, I respect that. You do? Hush now, Milo. You and I are speaking. Anyway, in terms of sequence of events, I don't have anything really to dispute. I brought Milo into the employee area to have a discussion. I saw the aforementioned safe sitting nice and pretty there at the time. He got upset, went into the kitchen, spent no more than a few seconds admiring the employee's area or atmosphere before returning to the main area of the restaurant. Thane, a friend of mine, had entered the restaurant while I was speaking with Milo. Milo came out and discussed the business deal in further detail, up close and personal. I must have simply missed Thane wandering off into the kitchen. He likes to do that, he's a wanderer. And then, well, you know the rest. I'm so sorry to hear that dear old Milo has had his precious heirloom stolen. Surely I bear him no ill will. And I admire his tenacity in trying to get the vase back. But the simple fact of the matter is neither me nor my associates have anything to do with the vanishing vase. Okay, I think I get the picture of things. That's enough witness testimony. Seth, Baldera, can you fill in the details from there? Oh, not much more to say, Lev. Seth and I were on our way back from another investigation when I got the call to check this place out. We were some of the first on scene. The layout of this place isn't complicated. You got the main restaurant sort of area here. Tables, menus, cashier desk, etc. You also have some restrooms over there, but that's not really relevant. And then you have the door to the kitchen on the one side of that back wall and the door to the employee area on the other. And the two are connected with another door. The employee area also has a fairly high up window. When we arrived it was closed. Right, that's worth saying. Also the safe. According to Milo, it's new. Right. Ever since Yi and his boys started hounding me, I got worried for my vase. Looks like I was right too. I went to a nearby security shop a bit over a week ago and bought one of their standard secure safes. Changed the combination so only I'd know how to open it. Though it has a safety key that can be used to open it as well. Right. Forensically speaking, we haven't found anything that interesting. The good news, investigatorially speaking, are two key cameras that get some good stuff. One of them's from an ATM machine outside on the street across from the store. See the window in the employee area above the dumpster in an alleyway? The ATM camera doesn't quite get the best view of that place, but it does sort of get the further half of the alleyway. Basically, it doesn't quite see the actual window or the dumpster, but it sees enough that we can rule out the idea of anybody entering or leaving the restaurant through that window. If they did that, they'd probably get seen by the camera somewhat. Only other entrance or exit, the front doors in the restaurant area. The other camera is mounted on top of the top corner of the main restaurant area. It gets a decent look at the whole scene. Yeah, more or less corroborates what the testimonies Milo and Yi gave. But there's one interesting bit. When Yi and Milo were in the employees area, that's when Thane entered the restaurant. But with his back turned toward the camera, instead of taking a seat, he walked right toward the kitchen door. A moment or two later, he exited the kitchen and made his way back to his seat. I was looking for where Yi and Milo were. I started my search in the kitchen. There I overheard the two's argument. I decided it wasn't my place to get involved and returned. That your story? Yeah. Well, there you have it. Anything else noteworthy about the footage? Oh, this spare key to the safe was left in Milo's work apron. The camera actually catches him hanging it up behind the clerk's desk. And the camera has it in full view the entire time. That's not technically true. When Thane first makes his way into the kitchen, he briefly passes in front of the keys. Yeah, but he's too far from the keys to grab them, and everyone else is accounted for. What does that matter? Just, wanted to be thorough. Correct impulse, Baldera. Any information, however seemingly innocuous, is important to my process. You don't need a process. The evidence is obvious. These thugs have been harassing me for over a week at this point. I refused their advances. Then they show up and my vase goes missing. It's obvious what happened. Obvious, you say? Pray tell, how would you construct the story from a god's perspective? Huh? I think Lab's asking you what you think happened in specifics. Oh, easy. They went to the employee area, he broke into my safe, but he knew he couldn't smuggle the vase out, so he just broke it into pieces. Then he hid the pieces, knowing they were a lot easier to hide. Hid the pieces, you say? Yeah. Well, I hate to do this, but you're not thinking clearly. We checked the employee area front to back, there weren't any vase shards hidden anywhere. Nor were there any on his body. Simply put, there's nowhere for the vase to go. It doesn't seem possible for Thane to have stolen that vase. But that's... No, that can't be. It has to be him. It has to be. That's the only thing that makes sense. Don't worry, Milo, I got your back. It seems pretty damn clear that the duet stole this vase to me. Sure, maybe there wasn't a place to hide the vase, nor was it possible to get it out of the restaurant through the front entrance. However, there's still one way to get it out, and that's the window. Maybe a person would have been seen on that ATM camera, but just a vase could easily have been dropped straight down into the dumpster and nobody would be the wiser. Perhaps this is a little obvious of a question, but that dumpster has been checked, correct? Of course, nothing showed up. But that doesn't prove anything. Like I said, the ATM camera's only got half the sidewall. With a sneaky accomplice, the vase could easily be retrieved by an accomplice of Yi waiting in the wings. Mr. Yi, you were alone in the employee area after Milo stormed into the kitchen, correct? Yes, ma'am. Heh. Then couldn't you have stolen the vase right there and then? You could have broken into the safe, taken out the vase, and chucked it right into the dumpster. Why didn't you just save us some time and confess? Oh man, I'm gonna hate proving you wrong. It's not fun to crush a bright spirit like yours. Sad to say, but that's impossible. How's that? Milo, only you know the passcode to the safe, right? Yeah. And in the week or so you've had the safe, you don't think your spare key could have been stolen? Answer honestly, Milo. I can't prove it hasn't been stolen. Okay, well, let me ask the police. If somebody buys a safe, worried that their heirloom's gonna get yanked, do you think they're inclined to leave the key to said safe unattended? Doesn't seem likely, does it? It doesn't, Seth. Very good. So then, I'd ask you this. With no knowledge of the passcode, no opportunity to make a duplicate key, how exactly do you propose I broke into that safe? I mean, you all bandy that term around so frequently, making it seem like just a thing people can do. Why, if that were the case, what would be the point of safes at all? It wouldn't be very safe at all. The man in the corner snickered some. You deny the existence of lockpicking? I acknowledge it, sure. What I don't acknowledge is this master lockpicker that can break open a safe in a matter of seconds. I was only in the employees area for a moment or two, and the camera will attest to that. And not just me, Milo followed in short step after my good friend Thane. Neither of us had much time at all alone with the safe. Maybe if we had a key, knew the passcode, sure. We could have done something. But breaking into the safe in that time? Totally impossible. You can't deny the possibility. You could just be really good lockpicks. Heh. That the angle you're gonna take on this? Alright then, take the safe in for examination. Test for signs of forced entry. Look all you want for it. And when you find none, I want you to look for a single lockpicker on this earth that could break into a fresh safe in less than 10 seconds without leaving a trace. You do that for me and I'll confess right here and now. That's... The problem for Baldera was, Yi was right. The situation Baldera had proposed was improbable at best. So you see? There were exactly 2 points. Either Yi or Thane were alone with the safe. Neither lasted for more than 10 seconds. We can't get into the safe without a passcode, the keys, or without breaking into the safe. We don't have the passcode, we couldn't grab the keys, we couldn't break into a safe in less than 10 seconds. All those facts combined to prove one simple truth. This supposed thief isn't Thane, and it sure as shit isn't me. Now if you want to keep us here and then try to disprove that one of those facts, we'll try to find a way that they can all be true and we still stole the safe. I'm sure you'll find either a trying task, to say the least. The room was silent. Very well then, it's time for the detective to emerge. Milo, would you mind if I examine the safe for myself? Sure. It's still in the employee area. Thank you. I'll be back in a moment. And just like that, I left the confused group to their own devices. I entered the employee area. He was right, it was a nice room. But no time to dilly-dally. I had to confirm something. I walked up to the safe. It was slightly ajar, sitting in the corner of the room on a lonely table. I examined the sides of it, the dimensions. I reached forward and grabbed it from the bottom. I held it up to my chest. It was a pretty small safe, all things considered. Must have been a small vase. I picked it up with both hands off the table, holding it low. It wasn't that heavy. I tried walking with it. I could transport it fairly easily. Okay. I placed it back on the table. And then I looked up out to the window. I examined the window's size. I walked up to it and jumped. With a bit of effort, I could easily touch the bottom of the window from the ground. Alright. This was fun, but it wasn't too hard a puzzle. Was it rude to have expected a harder challenge? No matter. I re-entered the main restaurant area. It seemed of little importance had occurred in my absence. Excellent. You know, deductions don't need to be one-sentence affairs. As you're creating your deduction, you might see a period pop up on the screen. That means a period will appear in that point of your final deduction, so you should split up your syntax accordingly. That's a silly little thing to help keep you on your toes. Don't worry about it. Maybe you won't even notice it's there. I bet I will. Oh, not this one again. I hate this one. Thane can bring something to the kitchen. The camera's faced Thane's back. He can smuggle the safe out the window without being caught. There was a decoy safe. He was alone. Milo was talking in the employee area. Oh shit, I didn't... Ah, fuck, I hit the skip button again. Sorry. I actually didn't mean to do that. I was trying to go back, and I hit... whatever. Attention. Attention, everybody. I will now be solving the crime. Oh? Just like that, will you? My. That's impressive. You know what happened, Laverna? I knew I brought you in for a reason. Of course I know what happened, Seth. I'm a detective, after all. That's my job. Well, get on with it. Relax. Milo, you've made one mistake in all of this. A mistake that occurred before Yi or Thane even entered the restaurant. The issue is that you brought a common safe from a common store, and because of that you open yourself to a rather unique angle of attack. Huh? I'll explain. See, I thought it odd how Thane entered the restaurant, how he made his way to the kitchen, having his back to the camera the whole time. Well, I found it slightly unnatural. It was then that it dawned on me. He bought a safe and just swapped the safes. What if the shielding was intentional? What if it was to hide a rather large prop needed for the swindle? Prop? I introduced you to a new concept previously not imagined. That is the existence of a decoy safe. One prepared beforehand, completely empty for the purpose of this heist. It is perhaps a fantastical prop, but introduce it and many things fall into place. It's better if you expect us to buy into a second safe, Laverna. I haven't seen any evidence of it, and that's the key, isn't it? And well, I, for one, am interested. How exactly does this spare safe change things? Simple. It allows the whole swindle to occur. You see, Thane blocks out the relatively small safe from the camera with his backside. In the kitchen, he hides the safe out of sight. In a closet, below a table, anywhere that isn't immediately visible. Then he returns, the first step of the plan carried out. Next up comes to the actual theft. This occurs when Milo decides to leave Yi unaccompanied in the employee area. An understandable blunder, but a fatal one. Yi then takes it upon himself to dispose of the safe. He picks it up and with some difficulty drops the whole thing through the window. Yes, that is the core illusion. The safe was never broken into, at least not on these premises. Yi threw out the safe wholesale, which would then take mere seconds, then casually strolled back into the main restaurant area. Wow, how brave of him. And then if Milo decided to return to the restaurant area through the employees area? Well, that would have been a somewhat unorthodox line of movement on his end. However, had that been the case, he likely would have freaked out and went straight up to your table to chastise you. In this case, I'd imagine you'd play dumb, and then the plan would play out in much the same way it did in this case. The only difference would be that your scheme would be a little bit more apparent, and Milo would be confused about the disappearing and reappearing safe. Oh, and could you please explain to us how exactly the rest of this played out, huh? I thought you're smart, Yi. Do I really need to spell it out to you? Thane's little tour was nothing of the sort. It was an obvious lie from the start. But it was a worthwhile sacrifice, storming the proverbial gates, as you will. Because of that, you were able to finish the cover-up. Thane went to grab the decoy safe he stashed in the kitchen. Then as Milo went over to the kitchen to stop him, he made his way to the employee area to replace the missing safe. Right as he finished the deed, Milo walked in and saw him standing right in front of the replaced safe. And just like that, a beautiful theft. Nothing beautiful about it. That's downright scummy. Yeah, it's a little beautiful. A little? Just a smidge. Quit it, Lav. More to the point, I think there are some people who need to explain themselves. Bullshit. A lot of it. Is that right? Then please, have at me with your counter-arguments. The safe. It'd still be in the dumpster. How do you explain that? I already explained this. The ATM camera wasn't flawless. You just had to have one of your duet boys waiting in the wings ready to snatch up the thrown-out safe. That's easy, Thane. Leave this to me, I got this. Thane looked over to Yi. Then he shut up. It's quite a nice story, Miss Smith. Really, I'm impressed by you. I don't say that often. And I'm sad to say I don't think it'll hold water. Oh? And why is that? The safe... I do believe I know the store you bought it from, Milo. Of course you do. Like the detective said, you got a copy. Who's to say? But Milo, if I remember correctly, the safes sold there have sales stickers plastered on their bottoms. I wonder, Milo, did you ever bother removing that? Well, I mean, I don't think so. Ah, Milo, you have to remove those things. They're really an eyesore. But if it's on the bottom of the safe, I suppose you don't think to check. Milo, when exactly did you get the safe? 9 days ago. Time of the day? About 5 o'clock, I'd say. Excellent, excellent. Seth, would you mind bringing us the safe in the employee area and checking the seal? Okay. A little uneasy, Seth walked over to the employee area. What are you getting at, Yi? If Laverna's theory holds up, then surely the sales sticker will be different. The new safe couldn't have an identical sales sticker. What? That doesn't prove anything. Even if the sticker matches Milo's purchase, that doesn't clear you. You could just take off the first one and put it on the new one. Ah, just ripped off the old safe, placed it on the new. That's not possible. I knew you were a smart one, Laverna. Miss Baldera, you ever try peeling off one of those sales stickers? Especially one that's been left on a safe for over 9 days? That's pretty fucking hard. I mean, you can do it, but you'll usually tear a bit of it somewhere. To truly peel off the full thing without the slightest indication that it's been removed, that takes a lot of time and, frankly, tools. Doing that freehand in 10 seconds is pretty unbelievable. Seriously? A childish reasoning is what you're using for your defense? It's a bit silly, I have to admit, but it holds up. He's right. Removing the sticker in 10 seconds he had without any trace of tear or wear? I mean, that would be on top of actually lifting and throwing the safe out the window. It's way too tight. Okay, but what if the person on the outside who grabbed the safe from the dumpster removed the sticker? Ah yes, I thought this would come up. What do you propose is more than possible? However, when exactly would they have given the sticker back to Thane? There's no opportunity. They could have thrown it back through the window? Then what did Thane place the stick? What, did Thane place the sticker back on the new safe in the exact perfect place when he reached the employee area? That's possible, sure. But he'd have to close the window, since it was found closed. And then he'd need to put the safe back on the table. And that's the last thing he did, since Milo saw him by that table when he walked in. Again, aren't you overestimating the time Thane had? And ever since Milo looked into that empty safe, we've all been in his side. He said so himself. So as Milo is our witness, we never had a chance to tamper with the safe. It was at this point Seth entered the room holding the safe. He had a disappointed look on his face. The sticker, it matches the time and date of Milo said. That can't be. You must have brought your safe right at the same time. Wow, you must have been on the ball to pull that one off, huh? But no, check the store for specific details on the purchase if you want. You must have faked the sticker. Alright Milo, this is getting sad to hear. Again, to do that, we need to know all the details of your store transactions ahead of time, which, impossible. But if you're really bothered, go and do some forensics. See if the sticker matches the ones from the store safes. Seth, you didn't see any sign of wear or tear? Check for yourself, Baldera. It looks like it came right out of the store. I don't think anybody was able to rip it off cleanly. So I think this disproves Laverna's theory. Fingerprints, huh? We'll check the safe for fingerprints. If I'm right, if the safe was switched out, then it won't have Milo's fingerprints. That should prove foul play, right? Cute, very cute. Sad to say, Milo does have fingerprints on it. Remember, he made a huge fuss about checking the safe, and he was the one who found the vase missing, right? Still, we should see noticeably less fingerprints, right? Maybe. But then again, this is Milo we're talking about. He's a bit of a perfection freak. He could easily have wiped down the safe to keep it nice and shiny. He does that, and those previous fingerprints vanish. I've wiped down the safe once. So you say. Unfortunately, I don't think that testimony will hold up. I think it's been proven pretty clear that you have a grudge against me. As ill-placed as it may be. You clearly mistakenly believe I'm responsible for everything that goes wrong in your life. If it had helped bring me to justice, you could easily have falsely claimed you had never wiped the safe. The testimony would never hold up in court, and it'd be inconclusive at best. You asshole. Language. Seth had to grab Milo to break up another fight. So now can we say Laverna's theory is disproven? I wanted to speak up. I wanted to wipe that smug smirk off this criminal asshat. He was clearly lying through his teeth. He knew what he knew. He knew we knew. He was gloating in it. But to prove it? Ugh. My theory was right, I knew that much. Ye's weirdly defensive reaction to my fingerprint suggestion had practically proven it. But the stickers? How did we get around the stickers? Were they swapped? How? I had some ideas, but they were half-baked and had holes. Ultimately, I had to hold my tongue. Alright then. So does anybody have any theories other than Laverna's about how either Thane or I could have stolen the vase? Again, Yi was met with silence. He thoroughly stumped the room. When the silence became resounding, he clapped his hands together. Brilliant. Very well then. I think that's our cue to leave then. Huh? You can't do that. Oh, I most certainly can. I think I've just proven rather conclusively that you have no reasonable justification for suspecting us for this theft. We've given our testimony. I truly extend my apologies to Milo. I hope you're able to find the thieves who burgled your precious heirloom. But if there's nothing else, I do not believe you will have the authority to detain us for any longer. For a third time, nobody was able to bring anything up. We all wanted to say something. To keep him here, to trap him. But his barrage of hard-hitting questions had effectively bullied us into submission. We had his little gang surrounded. Despite that, he was going to manage to slip away. Lovely chatting with you all. Nice meeting you, Laverna. I hope we don't meet again. Come on, Zouchi. Thane. We're done here. And those are the last words any of the three men spoke. Instead, they all just strolled out of the restaurant. And we were all powerless to stop them. Baldera turned to Milo. I am so sorry. Really, we tried to do our best. It's just, you know. I mean, you saw it, right? It's... Baldera was really struggling to get words out. Just save it. Huh? I said just save it. I don't need your apologies. I need you to do your job. And you failed. Completely. Well, completely is a little harsh, don't you think? We can keep the investigation open. Surely, save it. You let them get away. You're not going to reel them back in. I know how this works. It's... Ha! You know what I just did? How much shit I'm in? You don't try to snitch on the duets. You just don't. Everybody knows that. There's an understanding. And I just did. And you failed to follow through. You know what that means? It means I'm screwed. That's not... Oh, but it is. I stuck my neck out for you guys by reporting this. I was giving you a chance to get a win. And you flubbed it. You failed it. You lost your chance to actually do some damage to the duets. And like that, it's gone. Poof. And I'm stuck holding the bag. I'm stuck standing here. Gonna have to answer the consequences. Sir, if you feel intimidated, you can make a statement. You can request protection. We can put you under surveillance. For how long? Huh? No, everybody knows that without proof, police protection doesn't mean shit. It buys a few days, weeks at most, and eventually it goes away. And that's when it snaps you. No, I'm sorry, but I think I'm gonna have to go on with my own form of protection, thank you very much. It's because of incompetent officers like you that the duets run these streets. It's people like you that prove to everybody that you can't trust the police. You know your whole posse is a laughingstock to the locals, right? Yeah, well, it's for a good reason. You should be ashamed of yourself. And you should think about what exactly you're doing. Alright, that's enough, buddy. Excuse me? No, excuse you. I get you're in some shit right now, and we'll try to help you out. But frankly, you're not doing yourself any favors. Got anything worthwhile to actually want to say? No, as a matter of fact, I believe I'm done. As luck would have it, I kind of have a lot of things I need to work out now. And in a huff, Milo turned around and went to the back of the store. Baldera looked pretty shaken. Seth grabbed her arm. Hey, forget that jackass. He's salty. He's right. He's unimportant. How many years have you been on the force? Are you still getting shaken up by the emotional shouts of every grieving victim? No. Then good. Now come on, we got work to do. The two began to exit the store. Whatever my current thoughts may be, I wasn't content to let Baldera just leave yet. I had something I'd been looking to tell her for a while. If I didn't bring it up now, who knew when I would get next get a chance. Hey, wait. Laugh? Seth, would you mind if I stole Baldera from me for just a minute? There's something I want to ask you. Alright. Ask away. It's something of a private matter. Private matter? Something you can tell her, but not me? I'm offended. It's related to a lady's sensibilities. Believe me, neither you nor me wishes for your presence in this conversation. If you say so. I'll be in the police car, Baldera. Seth clearly still didn't like the idea of leaving me free to talk to Baldera, but he also knew pushing the issue would be pointless. Once he left the restaurant, I took a seat at a nearby table. Baldera remained standing. Alright, Laverna, you got me. What do you want to ask? Think what you will. I'm just as aware as the next person that my manner of speaking is, in some ways, unrefined. That is why dwelling on ways to word this delicately is almost certainly time that could be better spent simply getting to the matter at hand. So then, seek not the intentions behind my words. I'm merely going to convey some information to you. Interpret it as you wish. Alright. First off, Seth. Seth? I've looked into his record. His record? His police record, Baldera. Keep up. I obtained it from Marianne. It doesn't seem like the sort of thing the chief would do. Just trust me. Baldera didn't need to know how I got this info. Or about how weak the police's record-keeping digital security was. The point of the matter is, Seth has been on an unnatural number of cases with suspected ties to duet members. Most of the time his involvement was either a result of his physical proximity toward the scene of the crime or him volunteering for this particular case. So, it's a small force we have here, we're strapped for officers. That doesn't mean much. That alone doesn't mean much, however it appears that there is near one-to-one correlation with Seth's presence on the duet-related case and its inability to bring about prosecution. That isn't to say there aren't plenty cases where Seth wasn't around that no prosecutions were brought. That is to say that in almost every duet-related case Seth has been a part of, nobody was found accountable. Laverna, what are you saying? As I said at the beginning, I'm simply providing information. But, come on, Baldera. You know I'm better than anybody. If there's anything to be assumed, you should, on some level, sense it. Perhaps you've already sensed it. Careful, Lav. I like you, but I've known Seth for a lot longer. Okay then. Let us move on then, shall we? There's more? A bit more. I'd like to discuss the Cock Robin murders. Bandit was confused by this seeming left turn. I recently looked over the past cases, and a certain detail caught my eye. The initial officers on the scene. Scanning through it, one name popped up far more frequently than the others. Chief of Police Ariane. Ariane? But what does that matter? Are you saying she has something to do with the items left behind? Because in case you forgot what you yourself just said, she was around more often. Not all the time. Hell, she was on the other side of the city the night you learned about them. Certainly. However, previously the thing that led us to believe that this is the work of a serial killer was the fact that no discernible pattern between the victims could be found. However, if we view the murders committed where Ariane was not present as a separate list, that line of thinking now wavers. Admittedly, I can't see a clear motive, even with the reduced list, but the victims Ariane certainly couldn't have planted evidence on are all people of either high status or some importance. I need to dig more, but the possibility of finding a thorough line with this list of suspects seems at the very least possible. Lavinia, you can't seriously be accusing... I'm not, mind you, accusing anybody of anything. I'm simply providing information. That right. It is. Which brings me to my third point. The murder of Issa. Lavinia, Valdera now seems full-on hostile. Tragic event. Yeah, it was. Absolutely awful. Sometimes bad things happen in the line of work. You just gotta move forwards. The rain falls with no one to blame. Ah, but in this case there was someone to blame, was there not? The robber. He was eventually caught and brought before a court. However, despite being pegged for the robbery, I couldn't find any evidence of him being convicted for murder. I couldn't find enough evidence to put the bastard away for it. Doesn't mean anything though. Does it not? Tell me, was the Chief of Police Ariane accounted for the night Issa was shot? Huh? I don't know. Then were you? Excuse me? You said you were listening in from a separate location on the police radio. Is there any way to corroborate your position? Okay, that's it. Valdera began to turn away and leave. I reached out and grabbed her arm. Hold on. Why should I? Just listen, would you? I asked because I want to believe you. You want to? Just like everybody else. I looked into you, Miss Vasquez, and I couldn't find any trace that you are anybody but an upstanding police officer who harbors a deep love for his city. Maybe that just means you're particularly good at erasing your tracks, but I suspect it means you are something that's rare. A true, untainted soul. Somebody who earnestly strives for the best. Somebody who can be trusted, depended, counted on. The type of person this city so desperately needs. I don't know what all this is about. Nor do I. But that is the most optimistic approximation of your character. And I desperately hope it to be true. Again, Lav, what are you doing here? What do you get out of telling me all this? I'm telling you this because for better or worse, I'm choosing to place my trust in you. I think we both wish to get to the truth behind this city. To truly make it live up to its potential. And the more I look at the past, the present, it appears as though people like us don't have long shelf lives. What's that supposed to mean? What it means? I thought about what to say. It's up for you to decide. As I said, I'm simply giving you pieces. Assemble the puzzle however you wish. Huh. Scorn me for my suspicions if you wish. Perhaps such scorn is warranted, but I bring these pieces to you, Valdera, for your own good. I think you ought to be fully equipped to the nines, both with equipment and information. You deserve to have the fullest capability in determining who is friend or foe. The two of us just stared for a moment. Valdera usually wore her emotions on his sleeve. Times like these, where I couldn't get a beat on her, were rare. Eventually she just sighed. Thanks for the tip, Lev. And just like that, she turned around and walked out of the store. Ah well. Was that a mistake? Did I move too early? Were the seeds I sowed enough? Was I placing my mistrust in the right people? My trust in the right people? I couldn't say. All I could do was what I thought was best. It seemed like the best move to make, and so I made it. Well now, aren't things starting to heat up in old Eveningland? Not really with the whole vase thing, because come on, who the fuck cares about that? It's a stolen vase, get over it. And I mean, we already know that that dipshit Milo gets a bullet to the forehead, so really, what's the use of retreating any of this? I imagine this whole little plotline is going to be dropped from here on out. But besides that, it feels like Laverne is slowly uncovering the police force's rot. At least she has her theories. Seth being a duet agent, Ariane having something to do with Cock Robin murders, there being more to Issa's disappearance. Sneaky stuff, gotta say. And she's given this info to Valdera. Are we to assume then that she trusts Valdera? I wonder if that's so wise. Anyway, at this point I was planning to make a bet about Ariane's true allegiances. Unfortunately, someone had to be a no-good stinky sequence breaker and learn the truth of an alternate storyline before we got here. Boo! Why do I think letting you choose the order of scenes was a good idea? I don't fucking know. Well, that's the risk I run. Your loss, I suppose. was an easy bet, you probably would have made some sweet chips of it. So ha, take that. And maybe think next time you decide to go and mess up my intended sequence. Look, if you're going to present me a bunch of shit to pick from however I wish, there is no intended sequence. Not in my mind. It's just pick a thing and do it. And that's exactly what I'm doing, so fuck you, lady. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.